Texas is the biggest battleground state in the country. Our Democratic Party is building a future that is focused in equality and prosperity.
Our mission is innovative, inclusive, and hopeful. We are creating a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Some of the boldest Democrats to navigate the halls of Congress have called Texas home, and some of them have even made their mark on the White House.
Texas produces progressives, trailblazers, and steady-handed leaders alike who consistently push the needle on issue after issue.
Our leaders champion the noblest of causes because we believe that our country is stronger when we celebrate diversity, live our values, and inspire unity.
Texas Democrats have built a movement founded on landmark policies and programs that make America one of a kind.
We safeguard our planet and fight for equal rights. We deliver on building an economy that works for all Texans. We defend a woman's right to choose, and we challenge the inhumane policies that set to tear our country apart.
While Texas Democrats may differ in their approaches, each one of them has fought like hell to change the course of history and leave our state that much more equitable.
We are the party that paves the way for the future because we cannot advance as a society until everyone has a seat at the table. Donald Trump can't win the White House without Texas, and we got a plan to defeat him.
We know that the strength and resilience of our movement means that we can overcome any challenge set before us.
We know that we will succeed because what we are fighting for is humane, it is just, and it is truthful.
Every day, little by little, our movement grows and our chants for justice ring louder.
We are shaping the political future of our state and ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at the American dream.
This is what it means to be a Texas Democrat. Because when we save Texas, we save our democracy.
And when we save our country, we save the world.
Texas is the biggest battleground state.
And in 2020,
we have the opportunity
to turn our state blue
up and down the ballot.
We have the opportunity to expand access to affordable health care, finance our public schools, strengthen our economy, and take meaningful action on gun violence. There's so much more in the United States Senate.
We have the opportunity to pave the way towards a more sustainable future at the Texas Railroad Commission.
We have the opportunity
to elect judges
and the justices
who will restore fairness, equality, and balance
in our courts.
We have the opportunity
to shape the political future of Texas
and repair the broken systems
that disenfranchise working families in our great state.
We have the opportunity to ensure that Texans in positions of power
embrace empathy,
open minds,
and swing open the doors of possibility.
By working together
and uniting behind our shared vision of a more inclusive world,
we will win back our state.
We will win because we have to.
We have to put an end to the hate, the lack of access, and the suffering.
We have to deliver on the fair shot that every Texan deserves.
Our cause,
our movement,
is about the restoration of justice and the expansion of opportunity.
None of this can be accomplished unless we work together.
In order to bring lasting change to Texas,
we must work alongside every down ballot candidate, every activist, and every Texas Democrat
to continue building the largest democratic movement our state has ever seen.
We're asking you to be a part of this historic fight.
Together, we will create a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Together, we will save Texas and in turn, save the entire country.
Join us.
Join us.
Fighting for public education. He's fighting against tariffs for farmers and universal health care. And we're so excited to learn more about you, more about your campaign, more about the people that you're going to be representing. We also got like a fun little quiz at the end, and you're going to do great. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I think I've even got it in my little holder so I can look at it and see it. And I think we're ready to go.
Tom, is there any way you could flip it though? Because you're sideways for us.
Ah, so I got to turn it back around, huh?
I know. Instagram's really a stickler. They don't like people who go horizontal.
Okay, how about that?
It's perfect. You look great.
Okay. I think I can hold it.
All right, Tom. Well, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit to everybody?
Okay. I'm Tom Watson, and I'm a lifelong Democrat. I am currently residing in Abilene, Texas, and have since 2005. Prior to that, we spent 33 years on the Texas Gulf Coast in Freeport, Lake Jackson, Angleton area. And we raised 3 children. And when I say we, I need to go ahead and explain that that's my wife, Amanda, 51 years. Going back a little farther, I'll start with East Texas. I was born and raised in Lamar County, Texas, the county seat of which is Paris, Texas. I went to school in a little school town called Roxton, Roxton. And after that, I went to Lon Morris College in Jacksonville and then to the University of Texas. I graduated in 1966, I believe, and joined the United States Marine Corps in 1967. In October of 1967, I found myself in Vietnam, and that's the same year that another famous person found his way into Vietnam, and only that he spent 5.5 years in a POW camp, but I got to come home after 13 years. I'm sure you know that I'm talking about John McCain.
That's right.
The person that somebody referred to as preferring people who didn't get shot down. But the person that uttered those words didn't bother to go. His daddy paid for him to have heel spurs. So we'll get on with that. And then after my tour in Vietnam, I was released from the Marine Corps, went back to Austin. Amanda was going to school at that time, and we got married about 30 days after I got back. And we've been married for almost 52 years now. We had 3 children. Morgan, the oldest, is now an accountant in Dallas. Claire is living here in Abilene, and I practice law with she and her husband, Sam. And then Michael is a lawyer in Austin. So we kind of make a circle of triangles to Abilene, to Austin, and then over to Dallas for Morgan and his family.
Tom, you are truly a Texas man. I'll say it. You know, I feel like you've done it. You've been all around. You've got 3 kids still in Texas, and it's always refreshing to really have these true Texans that are going to go represent us in DC and really bring our values and like really represent who we are. That's what we need.
Well, I've lived in lots of parts of Texas now, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I saw part of California when I was coming and going with the Marine Corps, and part of my background is that I grew up on a farm. My parents were married in 1990, and my father had served in World War I. By the time I came along, I had 2 older brothers who had served or were served. Actually, when I was born, they were in World War II. So one of whom was also in Korea. So when it came time for Vietnam, I felt like it was just my turn because I had the history that I had to follow and the example, and there wasn't really a lot of choices there. So anyway, but during the time that I was growing up, my father died when I was 8, and so my family unit was my mother, myself, and an older brother who was a disabled veteran of World War II. And so my 2 sisters were both school teachers. And I spent a lot of time during the summer with them when I was younger, before I was old enough to hit the cotton patch with a cotton hoe and start chopping cotton.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I talk about a lot is the women in my life. My mother, my 2 sisters, my wife, Amanda, who's now an Episcopal priest. And then, of course, my daughter, Claire. We moved to Abilene in 2005. And in about 06 or 07, Amanda started the process of becoming a deacon in the Episcopal Church. And we went every weekend for 9 months out of the year up to Lubbock. So I got to see a lot of Lubbock for her to go to the deacon formation process.
Mm-hmm.
And that took, I think, about 4 years. So then she was a deacon for about 2 years or maybe even less, and she decided she really wanted to be a priest. Everybody had told her that's what she wanted to do when she started the deacon process, but she didn't do it the easy way.
Sure.
So we started the process over again, and she was ordained as a priest in 2015. So we have here in Abilene, Claire and Sam, her husband, and their children are here in Abilene. So I practice law with Claire and Sam. And then Michael, the oldest, is a lawyer in Austin, and Morgan's an accountant in Dallas. So we're 150 miles or so from the other 2. And so we're enjoying ourselves pretty good. And there's a big issue as to why I decided to get into this campaign and run for Congress.
Yeah, go on, tell us a little bit about like why did you decide that the representation of the district is? Like, what made you get into this?
I got into it because nobody else would. Is the short answer. In about the end of 2019, toward the end of that period, I determined that we needed an alternative on our congressional district. And so I started looking around to see if somebody was going to file for that office, and I couldn't find anybody that was willing to do it. So on the last day of filing, I drove down to Austin, and about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I decided that, well, I don't think anybody's going to show up to file. So I left my money with the state party and said, if anybody else shows up, you can take their money and I'll take mine back. But nobody stepped up. So I've been in it ever since. Fortunately, Cannon Roberts, who's my campaign manager, showed up the next day and said he wanted to work. And I said, well, let's start. So that's what we've been doing. And then the coronavirus hit. And so that kind of put an end to in-person type campaigning. So fortunately, he was very good on doing stuff on the internet. And we have a very strong social media presence. And so it takes me a lot of help to get on here with you today, but we got it fixed up, and so we're ready to go.
Tom, I think you have one of the best social media campaigns out there in the state of Texas for congressional races. Not only are you on Instagram Live with me, but you guys even have a full TikTok page.
Yep, we do. And I never heard of TikTok until it got put on the campaign page. But that's kind of tried to do a TikTok episode with Amanda and I and our dog, but I don't think it was of sufficient quality, so he didn't deem it appropriate to put on the website. So,
I love your TikToks. I also think we need more TikToks with the campaign dog. Your dog named Bear, right?
Bear, yeah. How's the dog? Now that was about 20 pounds ago. Oh. That Bear probably weighed about 65 or 70 pounds then. He's up in the 90-pound range now. So he is at least a handful.
He's a force reference. So, yeah. Okay, well, now I definitely want an update. I didn't realize it was a puppy form when I last saw it.
Well, he wasn't a puppy, really, but he was still growing. And fortunately, we have a couple of grandsons that'll come give him a reprieve and take him home with them. And they have some dogs, and he can run with big dogs in the country for a little while. But,
yeah. So I also got one other social media question for you. I also noticed that you're a pretty big grilled cheese enthusiast.
Could be.
Do you read tips for the best grilled cheese making?
Well, I really like whole wheat bread to start with, and then you don't want sliced cheese. You want good cheese in a pound block, and then you slice it off real thick, and then you put it in the skillet. You you really need real butter, and margarine doesn't work too well. So you put that in there and get it going, and you got to learn. I can't tell you when to flip it, but you got to learn when to flip it and toast the other side. So you can do that, but my wife Amanda tries to take me off the cheese diet. So haven't had a good grilled cheese, but now that you brought it up, I'll tell her it's a part of the campaign for me to get a grilled cheese on Saturday morning.
The people want to know. Well, I do appreciate that about you, Tom. I feel like you've really got a good plan for a lot of things. I mean, people go to your website, you're ready to handle some issues that I think are really big, not only for Texans, but especially people in West Texas. And I actually wanted to talk to you about your thoughts on Texas becoming renewably independent, especially with renewable energy and becoming energy efficient within itself. Why do you think that's so important for Texas, especially in West Texas right now?
Well, it's because we have a lot of it. We have a lot of wind. We have a lot of sun. So we should be in a great position for it. And I don't care how long you think the oil and gas is going to last, but it will run out sooner or later. So we need to conserve it right now. And the best way to conserve it is to use all three energy sources, wind, solar, and oil and gas, to power our country. That way we don't have a dependence on any one of those things. They'll all work together. And I don't think it's an impossible task for us to work together to develop that sort of approach to things, because that's what we need. We need a multifaceted phone call. Okay. So the energy and independence is allowing us to have wind, solar, and the oil and gas. And the other thing that we need to do is we need to be careful about having to send it all outside of Texas. I certainly don't oppose that we share it, but I think we need to be careful that we take care of the home front so that we will encourage those industries that need energy working to come to Texas, because we will have all three sources so that they don't need to rely on one thing and worry about there being a shortage of oil or gas or clouds or storms or whatever. We're going to be the center. We are the center, and we need to utilize it to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I think Texas already is such a powerhouse in the energy field. And if we're not staying on top of it, if we're not sending elected officials that actually can see a future of keeping that in Texas, we're going to lose it. And I think it's not something that needs to happen. We don't need to compromise on it. We just need to start actually looking into these realistic renewable energy sources. And we got the land for it. We've got so much space. We've got so much sun. We've got so much wind. And that's why I think it's so important that we get your ideas, into actual Congress, and not just sending these people that are closed-minded and don't think they can really re-see the energy field in Texas.
Well, the real problem you touched on here is a wide, many-faceted approach, not only to our energy situation, but to all across the board. We need to use everything that we can all across the board to help people, the people of Lubbock, the people of Abilene, and all those spaces in between. We need to use the resources that we have, and we don't need to just make the oil and gas executives wealthy. We need to funnel that wealth all the way up and down the ladder. We need to be sure that everybody shares in it. One of the problems that I've become aware of in Lubbock, for example, is the problem of food deserts. Now, a food desert is when someone lives in a city or an outlying area or wherever that there is not a grocery store within a distance that's accessible to that person, who might not have an automobile. We don't really think that there are people in this country that don't have access to an automobile, but there are. They rely on bus transportation. So the problem is, for example, in East trying to get somewhere to go to the grocery store, and you want to go to a major grocery store, you have to take a bus from your house to the grocery store, or you've got to take a bus downtown, change buses, and then go back out to the grocery store and then reverse that. That's a 4 or 5 hour trip.
That's too far.
You've got to be hauling the groceries around with you too. So we need to make those things accessible. And, I don't believe that the current congressional representative understands those issues. I don't think he understands that there are people who are working class folks, but they don't have access to all of the things that the upper, the middle, or the middle lower class have just simply by transportation. That's something that is beyond his comprehension. So we need to bring that to his attention. And the best way to do it is to put somebody else in office, somebody that understands at the get-go that you have to be multifaceted on your approach to solving political problems. And all problems are political. No matter what they are, there is some political connection to it, because you've got to convince somebody in a position of authority that they need to do something. But, if the people in authority are not going to talk to you, then there's no communication. And that's the problem that we have now. Mr. Arrington does not talk to anybody who makes less than a couple of $100,000 a year. His audience is strictly limited to those people who can make significant contributions to his campaign. And that also goes to the rural areas of West Texas. When you're talking about access to medical care and transportation to and from a doctor, and hospitalization when it's necessary. And this problem is laid right at the feet of the Republicans. The governor of the state of Texas, on his own, without permission from anybody else, could open up Medicaid to Texas lower income people. That way, when somebody goes to a rural hospital, the hospital would know that they can get paid for what through the services they're rendering, and that they can take care of all of the needs of that person. And the person needs to know it. They need to know that there is an alternative. We don't need to shut down. They talk about repealing the Affordable Care Act, but it needs to be expanded. It does not need to be shut down. Now, what do you do to do it? Well, you raise taxes on that upper class that have gotten tax break after tax break. They need to pay their share. The people in the upper class, the people who have the online companies that are benefiting from the technology that has been developed, they're making a lot of money. And so they need to share it. And the best way to do that is to pay their fair share of taxes. And so I think we need to look at our tax structure. We need to look at who's paying, who's not paying, And when it comes to the people who are in that higher tax bracket, they need to pay their share. And the Republicans have talked about cutting taxes. Well, they cut taxes for the wealthy, and then they reduce taxes for some of us. But they didn't do anything for the lower income people. You know, we've got to get past the idea that every time you do something that helps people, it's socialism. You know, we need to get by that it's love your neighbor. It's helping your neighbor. We need to remember the story from the Bible of the Good Samaritan, who was the one that stopped and helped when all the others went past by. We need to remember our religious heritage and try to follow it. And then not just on some charity level, but on the governmental level, where we have the people that have earned the money share it with other folks. So, you know, and there's something about a rising tide floats all boats.
Right.
So if we raise the economic situation of everybody, then everybody
gets to help
benefits. So, you know, that's the whole theory.
I couldn't agree more, Tom. And I really think what I appreciate about you and your campaign is that you guys have been saying that from the day one. You know, you guys have really been fighting for everybody. You're not just looking at donors. You're not just looking at the people that have in the upper class, but you really want to increase minimum wage. You want to help the farmers with their tariffs. And I just really appreciate that, like, people from West Texas need more people like you representing them all the way up through DC. And that's why it's just so important that we all go vote. And I do have a question about that. Tom, have you voted yet?
I have. I voted before early voting because I'm old enough to get my ballot in the mail, to put it in the envelope and not trust the mail, but take it and hand deliver it to the voting office. So we did that about the third day of voting. So, you know, we never know when you might be called to go to heaven. So we want to be sure the vote's there.
Oh, now. Yeah. Just get it done with, right? Yeah, I already voted early. It was really easy. There's so many different places to vote. You can find them at mytexasvotes.com.
That's right.
I got one, so I want to play a quick true or false game with you real quick.
Okay.
Because we're running a little low on time. Okay, so it's going to be a little, so your name's Tom Watson. And so I was thinking about other famous Watsons. And I don't know how big of a Harry Potter fan you are, but Emma Watson was the person I could think of. So I want to test your knowledge about Emma Watson, Tom. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
All right. Our first true or false question. Although she is known as a British actor, Emma Watson was originally born in France. Is that true or false?
I think that's false.
It's actually true.
I think the Watsons are from Europe, a little further north in the England area.
Well, she was born in France. Her father is British, but he was in France at the time when they had her. All right, next question. Before she was casted as Hermione Granger in her breakout role, she was in a much lesser-known British sitcom called Relationships. True or false?
Yeah, I don't know. Is not an option, so I'll say false.
Yeah, you're right. I totally made that one up. She was her first role ever was as Hermione Granger, and she made so much money off it. So she's also had other roles. Her other known one is Beauty and the Beast, where she played Beauty in the live action film. So Beauty and the Beast cost $20 million to produce. $1 million of that was casting Emma Watson. True or false?
I think that's false. I think she probably got more.
You're right. So she actually was awarded $3 million for that role.
Okay.
But then after box office scales, she ended up with $15 million for being Beauty and the Beast. All right, here's my last one. In 2014, the British Acting Awards, she dedicated the award to her pet hamster who died during the first filming of Harry Potter. True or false?
I think that's false.
No, it's true. So one of her biggest awards ever, she donated to her hamster, or not gave credit to her hamster who died during the filming when she was 10 years old of the first Harry Potter film.
Okay. Well, in my defense, you didn't go back very far in time. Now, if you go a little bit back further in time, I might have had some better answers to that. But
well, hey,
okay.
It's Instagram. It hasn't been around for that long.
Oh, I know. I had to get 3 people to help me get on.
Well, Tom, I love your social medias. Everybody should go check them out. I really like your campaign. Can you tell people what your website is, anywhere to find you? How can they reach you? How can they give you money? How can they volunteer? Where should they go?
Well, if they want to give money, the best way is Act Blue. That's ACT, capital BLUE. Did I spell blue right? I think so. But Act Blue is a conduit. Any Democrat, every Democrat's on it. You can depict who you want to go to, and they will collect it for you, report it, and so you're clean. It's the best way to do it. If you want to go online to look at our webpage and our website, if you go to, and Canada has just been telling me that I need to pick up better on exactly how it's looked. But if you go to Tom Watson 2020, you'll get there on either Facebook or the web.
Yeah, I think it's Tom Watson for USCongress.com is your website. So that's where they should go check it out.
Yep.
Yep, and definitely go check out his TikTok too, because I think that's one of the best things his campaign's done. It's the best congressional TikTok in Texas right now. That's it.
Oh, one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you this because some people may not think it's a good thing, but I think it was great. But I've been endorsed by the National Organization for Women. And the reason I think that's great is because my wife, my daughter, all of those people have been a strong influence and input, and there are lots of people that know them, so it's not hard for people to get a message to me. And when it comes from one of them, I usually pay attention.
Well, Tom, I am so appreciative of this time. Let's make sure everybody's making their voting plan. Everybody bring in 5 friends to come vote with them. You can find all your Texas voting needs at mytexasvotes.com. We also have a hotline, which is 844-TX-VOTES. You can call at any time polls are open. We're so excited to get everybody out to the polls. Let's get Biden in the White House. Dems elected up and down the ticket. And let's just make sure we win and nobody's staying at home this year.
That's right. Everybody got to go vote.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tom. Best of luck out there. And I'll see you in D.C.